Good morning from Ridgehaven Homestead. It's a beautiful day, bright and sunny, and I'm taking the opportunity right now to grab a few of these wild blueberries and huckleberries that we have coming ripe. It is a little bit early in the season for them to be ripening, but here they are. So I'm really excited. I think in the past our wild blueberries, have come ripe more like July 4, but they seem to be a little early this year. That's a good thing. We have a few cultivated blueberries that I'll be picking, mostly the pink lemonades, and so just come along. This video is going to be a recap of a lot of the preparations we've been making in our garden this year. We've done quite a bit of things to get it ready, to get our terraces ready, and I've recorded them but just haven't put them together in a video. And so I've done just a kind of a recap slideshow to show you where we were and where we are now. And I can tell you one thing, it's warm enough I can ditch this sweater right away. Before I do anything, I have to open up this tank so that I can pump the water into it from the solar pump, which I just turned on. This is only about a quarter of the way full. And as you can see, my black paint trick did not work from last summer. It didn't stick, so pumping water today because we have, even though it's fairly cloudy, it's pretty bright. So maybe we'll get a little bit of sun, enough to fill up our tank. Here at Ridgehaven Homestead, we have terraces that we have cut into the hillside because most of our property is the side of a hill. Here I am picking wild berries. The wild blueberry bushes and then the wild huckleberries will be coming in pretty soon. And if you notice that I'm talking on the video, it doesn't really match the words that you're hearing. It's because I got a new microphone and I thought it was working properly, but it didn't seem to be recording my voice all that well, so I had to voice over. These are so small. They're smaller than the size of a pea. They pack a mighty punch. They taste really good, but they're really kind of hard to pick, and you know it's very tedious. But I'll say it's worth it. One year I got enough, just barely enough, for a nice wild blueberry pie, and that was delicious. But it was so much work that we really had to dole it out. And now that the sun is shining more on these berries because we've cleared more, they're starting to produce more. We wouldn't rely on the wild berries for all of our berries, so we have planted some cultivated berry bushes as well, and they are trying to get established. It's taking them a while. It seems like it takes them several years to really get to where they're producing well, but I'm seeing some ripe ones on there, and they are kind of staggered through the season where they come ripe at different times. Right now what's coming ripe I think are some of the powder blue, and I've seen like a couple, like one or two of the pink lemonade blueberries, which are really kind of an anomaly because when they're ripe they're pink. And yeah, a pink blueberry is kind of like a purple orange or something. It doesn't quite seem to fit the description. We have wild blueberries, which is what I'm picking, and we also have wild huckleberries that grow just interspersed between the bushes, and they seem to ripen a smidgen later. A lot of the times I am picking the huckleberries and the blueberries at the same time, but right this year the blueberries are getting just a little bit of a head start from the huckleberries, and it took me a while to determine which was which, and I finally figured out that the huckleberries are more seedy and a little bit harder, they have more crunch to them, and the seeds inside are more crunchy, and the blueberry seeds are more soft. You don't really notice them as much, and the fruit themselves is more oblong. So it's I can tell when I'm picking what the fruit is, but it took me a while to figure it out. It just got poked by a thorn. the bushes aren't loaded, and so this is just the first fruits where you have a few. And I'm going to check these cultivated ones. I think I see a ripe pink. Yeah, pretty ripe. It's fairly pink, but on the back it's kind of light pink, so but it feels soft. So I think it is ripe. Here's what we have so far. Not too many, but I'm about to move over to the other side. A couple of years ago, I did a blog article on the difference between the wild huckleberries and the wild blueberries, so feel free to check that out at ridgehavenhomestead.com. That's kind of pitiful, isn't it? If they weren't so good, I wouldn't bother. I picked for a little while and probably got enough to sprinkle on some pancakes or waffles, and then I'm checking the Ann raspberries, which are the yellow raspberries, which are delicious, but unfortunately the turkeys come up from the woods and gobble them up before we get a chance to get them many times. At the moment it's getting too hot to be out here picking anyway, so I am calling it quits after I water the greenhouse. In the greenhouse we have basil and some tomatoes and a few other herbs and flowers ready to plant. I found one cool thing while I was watering the tomatoes that I wanted to show you. It's going to be beneficial for our tomato plants and the other things in the greenhouse. Inside one of our tomato cages way in the back we have this Ootheca, which is an egg case for the praying mantis, and this one does not look like it's been hatched out, so any day now there's going to be hundreds of praying mantis babies that come out, and that's good because the praying mantises eat all kinds of predators, and that will be wonderful for our greenhouse to have those guys scavenging around eating the bad guys. Here are 3 little things of celery that I grew from just the ends of the celery that have been doing all right. I'm just going to find a place in my garden where they can grow, and we'll see if we can get free celery. Chuck is a smart boy. He knows to find shade under the solar panels, so that's where he likes to hang out. Don't you, Chuck? Chucky? Chucky? Hello, buddy. Hey, Chucky. He's a good boy. Down the hill from the greenhouse, we have some struggling plants. We have these yellow evening primroses, which are such a vibrant color, and then we have some pink ones, which I swear are still alive, but they look like they had a rough day, and I'm pretty sure they're going to come back because look, we have one that's still growing. I transplanted these a couple days ago and they are a little bit dry, but that's all right. And then down from here, hidden into the ground, we have some milkweed that hopefully will grow for the butterflies. These plants here were gifted to us from some good friends who shared from the abundance of their flower garden. Here we have Greg's tomato garden, and it's loaded. I don't know how many varieties he has, but there's quite a few in this small space. And then I went in and I interplanted basil in amongst the tomatoes because they are good companion plants. We've done that before. It enhances the flavor of both, and I'm hoping that I get lots of tomatoes and basil because what a combination. Down from that terrace is my terrace that I have prepared but haven't planted in yet. Little by little, inch by inch, I'm trying to get this weed patch turned into a garden terrace again. And last year we had tomatoes growing here, lots of holy basil, a little bit of lime and cinnamon basil, but the weeds have taken over. And I procrastinated on this because I didn't really want to get in here. I knew it was going to be work. I will say that even though it's really humid today, it's cool-ish because we've been having rain, and it really feels good to be accomplishing something out here in the garden. And you know, most things that you put off aren't really as hard as you thought they were going to be. But little bit by little bit, I'm getting a little bit of progress done. So I'm going to keep chugging and plugging away, and hopefully I'll get this thing ready for plants. We do have a weed eater, but it's on loan right now. And we also have a rototiller, but we have to replace one bolt so the wheel stays on. So in the meantime, human labor is gonna have to do. In this one, I think we're going to be doing cucumbers and squash type things because last year we did tomatoes and we're rotating out. So I did the wheel hoe here and I got all the weeds out, but it looks like I need to come through again and do another pass and then get some things in the ground. And if you know me and have watched my channel for any time or read my blog, you know that sunflowers make me really happy. And so I have a few that are just volunteering here and there. They've popped up from seeds, planted themselves. What better way to get sunflowers? Because I still have sunflower seeds in packets that I need to plant, and they're going to be way behind these guys. So these are about ready to burst forth. And I have one over here too that is just about ready. It's trying to play peekaboo with us. And it's going to be a surprise to find out what kind of sunflowers they are. Because in the past I've had many varieties and I've got to go get my berries. Rule of thumb, do not leave your berries in a greenhouse to cook. I didn't get that many berries anyway, but I'm glad for the ones that we got. There's just a few. But it's a good start. We're going to count the blessings that we have, and yeah, more than we would have had if we hadn't had any, right? I'm loving our echinacea this year. This one has just exploded with blooms, and they all are doing so well. The only one that is not doing well is one that I believe might be a red one, and it is hidden away under the oregano, which I plan to do something about. I had no idea that the oregano would spread so vigorously. So I'll be digging that up soon and moving it to who knows where. Here's that big clump. And there is a echinacea behind there, but it's so pitiful compared to all the other ones, which are like 3 and 4 feet tall. Just as a follow-up, I am out here with the herbs and flowers. It's kind of a mixed bed. And one thing this year so far has been amazing. There are so many butterflies. There's orange ones all around. I'm seeing them all over the echinacea. They love the clover. They like the lavender. So I've been really surprised to see that, and it's been a real joy to see butterflies everywhere. And of course, now that I went to tell you, I will not see them, but I just saw some until I started talking. Also, for the first time this year, this started out as an orange coneflower, and now it's turning into kind of a coral with yellow tones. And the next one growing off the same plant is pink. And I'm just really excited to see what it's going to be when it comes up. I kind of thought that this Cheyenne spirit meant you might get some orange ones, you might get some yellow ones, you might get some pink ones. But it seems to be that some of them are on the same plant, which is pretty cool, I think. Stepping back a little bit, we have this echinacea was just booming with flowers. And here's a butterfly just landing on one. So beautiful. They love the coneflowers. We have a white powwow, I think it is. I was gonna say sunflower, but that's not it. It's a coneflower. And then last night when I was at the nursery with Greg, we found these cute little flowers, and I don't even know what they're called, but they completely close up at night, and they get all pointy and sharp. And then in the day, they get like rounded edges, and it's just kind of cool. So the oregano here is gonna be coming out, because it's just too big. I'm gonna have to trim up this succulent, this light green succulent that's just going everywhere in this garden. It's very shallow rooted, so it's not a huge invasive problem. It's just everywhere. I'm curious to see what this coneflower is gonna be. I'm thinking it's red, and I hope it's red, but I also found one over here in between the oregano, which has been hiding and not able to grow to its potential. So that's why I'm gonna have to move some of this oregano. Now the butterfly just landed on the white coneflower, just really pretty. I have this really giant pink one, which I showed you. The oregano, this one is nice and clumping. And then this other type of oregano is not quite as invasive, but it's probably gonna have to be moved too. It looks like I'm gonna have another coneflower here. And this back here is some agastache, some, hummingbird mint, I believe it is. And then we won't even look at this corner where we have a giant weed that needs to be yanked out because it's mixing in here. And then I realized that the St. John's chamomile, which is so pretty and looks well behaved, actually looks a lot like the, what's that plant called? The, I just forgot what it was called. Anyway, it's left me. It's right up there. It's back there, that yellow one. Grows everywhere and it gets really bushy. Well, the St. John's chamomile, once it gets established, it gets to be like a huge bush. So I have 3 of those to move before they take over everything. But it's so nice to see the garden starting to take shape. We have so much work to do, but it's getting there little by little. And what are you planting in your garden? I'm sure it's different than mine. This is mostly herbs, but then I like to throw a few flowers in just for beauty and for good measure. And that butterfly right here that's on the white flower, he already checked out the yellow flowers down here, and I guess he decided that the coneflowers were going to give him more. Time to... Please enjoy this look back over the last couple months and what we have been doing to get the garden ready. You'll see snippets. Sometimes I'm talking. It doesn't make a lot of sense maybe. I just let my phone make me a little video of all the things that I had been doing prior to the front part of this video. Here. But you can just stand anywhere down here. I think I was doing it fine. It's just, this thing was just such a... pruning everything for the best production. At least I am catching it now. Planted, that is really his thing. He loves to do. And so my branch top that had the zinnias got whacked down. So they've already dehydrated some. That is my goal, to dehydrate. I know I've done other videos where I've showed you our inverter, but up the hill and then drain that tank into our holding tank. Insome's hooked up here, and I have it switched on. I'm not 100% sure it was the right one. And then I came up here and checked this plug, and it looked like this. We kept running the pump, we ran the inverter, but water lines, because of the leak that we had, it's gone. And I just kind of must water these things properly, so I'm just going to come back and do the you're supposed to have kind of like thing get out of control. My main purpose are still little bitty grapes on it, and so we establish this. It's really healthy, and as